Good morning. It's the third day of Hanukkah, and we are going to study the fourth chapter of Harambam of Ilchot Tefillin Mezuza Sefer Torah. This chapter deals with the actual placing, putting of the Tefillin, the actual action on the mitzvah of Tefillin, so it's very, very relevant. It's very important. The most important difference between this chapter and what people do today is back in the day, and this is the way things are supposed to be actually. People used to wear tefillin all day long. This wasn't something that we just do for tefillah, for shacharit, and then take it off. This was something that particularly Talmidei Chachamim used to wear all day. And tefillin are designed to be worn all day, as we mentioned in last chapter. The fact that tefillin shel yad back then were much flatter than we have today made it easier to wear it under the sleeve and to work. I heard once an explanation that the reason we wear tefillin on the left arm and on the right arm is practical, is because we use the right arm during the day, and the left arm is the one that's more idle, and where tefillin are going to be less impracticable. One more point before we begin about the symbolism of tefillin. Of course, as you remember, tefillin are made of leather, and we are placing them directly on the arm, on our skin, so it's skin on skin, or be'ad or, and we tie it on our arms, really almost like merging these little boxes with our own bodies, as we are going to see. The body needs to be clean and so on and so forth. Is a mitzvah that we are fulfilling through our bodies, and in a way we are lending our bodies to, by merging with these little boxes, we are lending our bodies to become depositories of the essence of what it means to be Jewish, of what it means to be part of Am Israel. And we have three kinds of boxes that also house our legacy. One is in the Bet Knesset, in the Hechal, where the Sefer Torah is. Then the next one is in each home, the Mezuza, also merging with the structure of the house itself, makes the house become a depository for what's written in the Mezuza. And finally, the individual with our bodies, in our bodies, by tying something of skin on our skin and merging with it, we ourselves become depositories to the tefillin. פרק רביעי הלכה א', היכן מניחין התפילין? Where are the tefillin placed? של ראש מניחין אותן על הקודקוד שהוא סוף השיער כנגד הפנים. The ones of the head, we put them on the skull. It's a specific part of the skull. It's where the prefrontal cortex is, which is the end of the hairline on the front of the head. והוא המקום שמוחו של התינוק רופס בו. This is the same area where in babies the skull is not yet solid. That's the area where the tefillin should be. וצריך לכוון אותן באמצע כדי שיהיו בין העיניים. And in terms of latitude of where to place it, right to left on the head is exactly in the middle, so that it ends up being aligned with the center that is created between both eyes. ויהיה הקשר בגובה העורף. The knot of the tefillin, the one in the back, should be where the neck begins, where the skull ends, שהוא סוף הגולגולת, where the skull ends. הלכה ב' ושל יד קושר אותה על שמאלו על הכיבורית, והוא הבשר התפוח שבמרפק שבין פרק הכתף ובין פרק הזרוע. On the arm, we should put it on the biceps. Kiborit is a biceps. It's the flesh that is a little more it's a little bigger, it's more inflated between the elbow and the shoulder. שנמצא כשהוא מדבק מרפקו לסלעיו, תהיה תפילה כנגד ליבו וניסה מקיים והיו הדברים האלה על לבביך. In a way that when a person puts the arm against the body, then the box of tefillin is going to be aligned with the heart, and this is what the pasuk says, that you shall place these things, in other words, the things that we write in the tefillin, on or alongside your heart. One more point about this, we know today, and the Torah knew it always, being written by our Creator, that the prefrontal cortex is really the command center of, it's the thought center the humans. It's where all the advanced thought occurs. It's the one area in which we differ from every other creature, and that's where we place the tefillin of the mind, and the other ones on the heart. So basically, we have here we are symbolizing two places. One is the nefesh, and the other one is the lev. Rabbi Eliyahu ben Amozeg makes that point that v'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha is parallel to the tefillin shel rosh and shel yad. הלכה ג' המניח תפילין של יד על פס ידו של ראש על מצחו. A person who places tefillin shel yad on the actual hand, or the one of the head on one's on the metzach. I'm blanking on the word in English. Harezu derech haminut. This is a heresy, to put it actually on those places where some people like the Karaim might want to interpret the Torah differently than what Chachamim understand it to mean. העושה תפילתו העגולה כאגוז אין בה מצווה כלל, making a tefillin that is not square like we defined it in the last chapter, הלכה למשה מסיני, but rather it's round or spherical like a nut. This is not a mitzvah. However, Rambam didn't go as far as to say that it's derech minut. יותר מניח תפילין בימינו שאילו כשמאל. A person who is a lefty should place tefillin on his right, which is to him like the left hand. ואם היה שולט בשתי ידיו, מניח אותה בשמאלו. If the person was ambidextrous, then he should place it on his left hand arm, שהיא שמאל כל אדם, because this is generally, in the general population, this is the arm that is weaker. ומקום קשירת התפילין ומקום הנחתן מפי השמועה למדום. And where we actually place the tefillin, both on the head and on the arm, is something that comes through tradition. So it's not necessarily that's the only interpretation that one could have for ben ainecha or al levavecha, but Chachamim have a tradition that this is the way to do it. הלכה ד' תפילה של הראש אינה מעכבת של היד ושל היד אינה מעכבת של הראש. These two mitzvot are independent. The one of the arm does not impede, in other words, not fulfilling the tefillin of the arm is not an impediment to not fulfilling the tefillin of the rosh, and vice versa. One is to itself and one is to itself. In other words, if one has only one tefillin, either of the head or of the arm, he should place either the one that he has, because they are two separate mitzvot. וכיסה מברך עליהם, and what berachot would there be? על של ראש מברך אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על מצוות תפילין. On the one of the head, the mitzvah should be על מצוות, the ברכה should be על מצוות תפילין. ועל של יד מברך אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להניח תפילין. And on the arm, one should say the ברכה of להניח תפילין. הלכה ה' במה דברים אמורים? When do we say that there is two separate ברachot? בשהניח אחת מהן. When a person is only placing one of them. For example, if a person has no arm, God forbid, or if he has a cast on the arm, on the full arm, or one of the two tefillin got lost, either the head or the arm, then he should place the other one. אבל אם הניח שתיהן, but if a person is placing both of them, מברך ברכה אחת, he should say one ברכה to cover both מצוות, להניח תפילין, which is the one for the arm, וקושר של היד תחילה, and then he proceeds to place the one on the arm, ואחר כך מניח של ראש, then he goes to the one of the head, וכשהוא חולץ של הראש תחילה, ואחר כך חולץ של היד. And on the way out, when removing the tefillin, the order is reversed. First remove the one of the arm, of the head, I'm sorry, and then the one of the arm. הלכה ו' מי שבדרך להניח תפילין וקשר תפילין של יד, a person who blessed להניח תפילין and then place the one on the arm, אסור לו לספר, is forbidden to speak, to talk, ואפילו להשיב שלום לרבו, even to respond hello to his master, to his teacher, is forbidden עד שיניח של הראש, until such time as he has placed the one of the head as well, not to separate between the two mitzvot. ואם סח הרי זו עבירה, and if he spoke, then first and foremost, he did something that wasn't appropriate. וצריך לברך ברכה שנייה, and furthermore, he needs to also now bless the second blessing for the one of the head. על מצוות תפילין, ואחר כך מניח של הראש, and only then place the one of the head. הלכה זין, תפילין, כל זמן שהמניחן מברך עליהן אפילו חלס ולבש 100 פעמים ביום. תפילין, each and every time a person puts them anew, he needs to say a new ברכה, it's not that one ברכה is good for the entire day. וכל המצוות כולן מברך עליהן קודם עשייתן, very important rule, all the mitzvot in the Torah have to, a person needs to say ברכה before proceeding to do them, not after. The modern practice, which is not according to halacha, has introduced a few exceptions to that rule. Everyone agrees on the rule. Some people introduce a few exceptions, but according to Harambam, there is no exception to that. So, for example, Netilat Yadayim, one should say beracha and then wash their hands, and so on and so forth. לפיכך, צריך לברך על התפילין שליד אחר הנחה על הכיבורית קודם כשירה שכשירתן זוהי עשייתן. Therefore, the right moment to bless for the tefillin of the arm is after placing them, just placing them on the bicep before actually tying the strap around, because that's the mitzvah of lehaniach, which means to deposit permanently in a way that will remain there. כשחולץ אדם תפיליו להשניען בכלי, לא יניח של היד מלמטה ושל ראש מלמעלה, מפני שבשעה שהוא רוצה ללובשם נפקע בשל ראש תחילה ונמצא שמניחה ומוציא של ליד, לפי שאין לובשים של ראש קודם של יד, ואסור לו לאדם להניח מצווה ולעבור ממנה למצווה אחרת, אלא מצווה שתבוא לידו שלידם בתחילה בה הוא מתעסק. When a person removes the tefillin, he should not place the one of the head above the one of the arm inside the bag of tefillin or whatever other place where container where they are being kept, because then what's going to happen is going to, the first thing that his hand encounters when he puts it inside the container to remove a tefillin is the one of the head, which is not the first one. And we always want to do the mitzvot as they come. We don't want to encounter a mitzvah which we do not do. So a person, if he removes first the one of the head, he's encountering the mitzvah of the head, which is a separate mitzvah, and then leaving it aside, neglecting it, and then going, in order to do it in the right order, going for the one of the arm, and that's not appropriate. לפיכך, therefore, צריך להניח שליד שלמעלה כדי שיבקע בתחילה ולבש עשה. Always, one must place the one of the arm on top, so that's the first one that is found, and he does them in order. הלכה ט' כלי שהכינו להניח בו תפילין והניח בו נתקדש ואסור להשתמש בו בדברי חול. Any container that was set aside for the purpose of containing the tefillin, it's become also kodesh, and it's forbidden to use it for any other purpose. Sephardim call this a koracha. It's something where you keep the tefillin bag. הכינו ולא הניח בו, if a person put it aside but never used it, או שהניח בו ערי ולא הכינו, or he used it but never put it aside for that purpose. For example, if someone uses a plastic bag one time to put the tefillin inside, לא נתקדש, it did not acquire this kedusha, this holiness, this special status. והראו חול כמות שהיה, and it remains in the status it had before it was used for tefillin. ואסור לתלות את התפילין בין ברסועה בין בתפילה עצמה, אבל תולהו את הכיש התפילין מונחים בו, and it's forbidden to keep the tefillin by hanging them from anywhere. Like if you have a nail on a wall, it's forbidden to store the tefillin by hanging them from there. However, you may hang the bag in which the tefillin are. הלכה י' זמן הנחת תפילין ביום לא בלילה. The tefillin are a daily mitzvah, a mitzvah that applies only during the day and not at night. שנאמר מימים ימימה, because it says in one of the 4 parashiot of the tefillin, you will keep this mitzvah. מימים ימימה means from day to day, forever, every single day, which Chachamim interpret to mean, which means only during the day to the exclusion of the evenings. חוקה זו היא מצוות תפילין. The חוקה that the Torah is talking about, this tradition, is the practice of putting the tefillin. וכן שבתות וימים טובים אינם זמן תפילין. So too, Shabbat and Yom Tov are not time in which we put tefillin. שנאמר והיו לך לאות, because the Torah calls the tefillin an ot, a sign, a symbol. ושבתות וימים טובים הם עצמן אות. In the Shabbat and Yom Tov, they themselves are symbols, they themselves are signs. and we don't sort of mix these two signs together. ומאמתי זמן הנחתן, and from when, what's the beginning of the day for purposes of putting tefillin, מכדי שיראה את חברו בריחוק 400 ויכירהו. This is not the same beginning of the day for other contexts, for example, for saying the Shema, or for example, for praying tefillah amidah, but rather it's a very specific criteria, which is from the time on the day in which you can see your friend about 6 feet away from you and recognize him. Until sunset. I think that there may be some meaning to, again, the time of tefillin having to do with an encounter between you and your friend. As we said before, also the order of the parashiot is so that your friend that's coming to you can see them in the right order from left to from right to left. הלכה י"ב, היה בא בדרך ותפילין בראשו ושקעה עליו חמה. What happens now? We know it's not, the nighttime is not time for tefillin. What happens if someone is coming on the way and is wearing tefillin on his head? That's as we're going to see later, those are the main tefillin, the ones on the head. ושקעה עליו חמה, and suddenly the sun is setting. מניח ידו עליהן עד שהוא מגיע לביתו וחולץ. A person should put his hand on top of them until arriving home and then remove them. This implies that one of two things, either that the person was not able for whatever reason to remove them in public on the way home, or number two, which might also be a possibility, that it's desirable to remove them inside the home. I'm sorry, I skipped הלכה י"א. מי שהניח תפילין קודש בדשיקה חמה, a person who places tefillin before sunset, וחשיכה והן עליו, and then sunset arrived and the tefillin are still on his head, אפילו היו עליו כל הלילה מותר, even if they remain all night long, it's fine. ואין מוריד דבר זה ברבים. However, we don't teach this publicly, אלא מלמדין את הכל שלא יניחו תפילין עליהם. Rather, the public line, the public policy, the rule when we teach it to the public is that night is not for tefillin. Rather, a person must remove them from the moment that the sun sets. But if a person purposely, deliberately puts tefillin after sunset, over belav, then that is a negative commandment, a negative prescription that's being violated, because it says, this is one of those rare occasions in which an affirmative sentence gives rise to a negative precept. It says, you shall keep this mitzvah from day to day, and a person is doing it at night against this prescription. י"ב, היה בא בדרך ותפילין בראשו ושקע עליו חמה, מניח ידו עליהם עד שהוא מגיע לביתו וחולץ. If a person was coming on the way and then the sun is setting, then instead of removing them in public, again, it's not a problem to have them on you, but it is a problem to say to the public that you may do so because it's confusing. Therefore, a person should cover the tefillin while he's in public until he arrives home and then remove them. היה יושב בבית המדרש ותפילין בראשו וקדש עליו היום. Likewise, if he was sitting in the Bet Midrash and the tefillin are on his head, and Shabbat arrived, it's Friday afternoon, and then Shabbat arrived, and Shabbat is not a time for tefillin. מניח ידו עליהן עד שמגיע לביתו. He should also place his hand on them until he arrives home. Very interesting couple of things about this. Number one, it's not mukseh. Number two, it's not considered to carry, to transport, which is forbidden on Shabbat when you're wearing the tefillin and taking them from place to place. ואם יש בית סמוך לחומה שהן משתמרים בו, בניחן שם. However, if he finds any other residence closer to where he is, where he can keep the tefillin, he should do that rather than coming home. ואם לא חלץ תפיליו מששקעה חמה מפני שלא היה לו מקום לשומרם ותמצאו עליו כדי שומרם מותר. However, if he wants to keep the tefillin safe and he wants to keep them beyond שקיעת החמה, beyond the entering of Shabbat, to keep them on himself for the purpose of keeping them safe, that is fine. הלכה י"ג, כל הפטור מקדייה שמה פטור מן התפילין. The rule for who is חייב, who is the one who's obligated on this mitzvah is whoever is obligated on Shema, and we said נשים ועבדים וקטנים פטורים, is also obligated on תפילין. קטן שיודע לשמור תפיליו, אביו לוקח לו תפילין כדי לחנכו במצוות. A minor who is capable, who knows how to take care, how to preserve, how to keep safe his tefillin, his father should get him one for educational purposes. חולה מעיים וכל שאינו יכול לשמור את נקביו אלא בשער פטור מן התפילין. People who have some intestinal problems, digestive problems, and anyone else who is not able to hold back his urge to go to the bathroom is exempt from tefillin. וכל הטמאים כולם חייבים בתפילין כטהורים. However, impure people, being impure is not an impediment for tefillin. Even impure people, someone who touched a dead body, someone who had an impure emission from the body, etc., is obligated to use tefillin, just like a person who is tahor. מסתער, ומשאין דעתו נכונה ומיושבת עליו, מסתער, a person who at that moment is preoccupied with something else, is being bothered by something. And we have this same concept in Sukkah. But someone who is suffering for whatever reason, is going through pain, is going through a great discomfort, or a person whose mind is not clear and he's not fully there. For example, a person whose mind is not clear, Hachamim used to say, whoever came from traveling the first 3 days after arriving, a person does not have Yeshuva Da'at. Such people are peturim min tefillin, they are exempt from tefillin. Shehamaniach tefillin asur lo le'asiyach da'ato mehen, because a person who puts tefillin, one of the points of putting tefillin is you must at all times and be aware that you're wearing them. כהנים בשעת העבודה ולוויים בשעה שאומרים שיר על הדוכן, וישראל בשעת מעמדם במקדש, פטורים מן התפילה ומן התפילין. The כהנים לוויים in Israel, each when it's their turn to be of service in the Bet HaMikdash, we are going to learn about those Be'ezat Hashem in later books when each of these things is true. While they're in Bet HaMikdash, are peturim from tefillah and from tefillin. There might be something deep in here about the role of the tefillin and what it comes to signify. הלכה י"ד חייב אדם למשמש בתפילה וכל זמן שאין עליו שלא יסיח דעתו מהן אפילו רגע אחד. A person must at all times touch his tefillin, make himself aware that he's wearing them so that he does not distract himself from their presence. שקדושתן גדולה מקדושת הסיס, and he must remember their sanctity, their distinction is even greater than the one of the sis. Sis was the crown that the Kohen Gadol wore that had inscribed in it the name of God, and it was one of the holiest things in the Bet HaMikdash that afforded kapara to the Kohanim. Hasis mechaper. So the Kedusha of Tefillin is even greater than that. She'asis en bo'el Hashem echad. The sis only had the name of God engraved once. ואלו, the Tefillin, יש בהן 21 שם של יוד ה' בשל ראש וכמותם בשל יד. These have 21 names like this on the ones of on the Tefillin of the head, and 21 just like those on the arm. So it's as if it were 42 times holier. ט"ו תפילין צריכים גוף נקי. Tefillin they require a clean body. The body needs to be clean. שיזהר שלא תצא ממנו רוח מלמטה, כל זה מה שאין עליו. A person must be careful not to have any flatulence while he's wearing them. לפיכך אסור לישון בהם שנת קבע ולא שנת ארעי. Sorry, I'm going to put the comma here. לפיכך אסור לישון בהם שנת קבע. Therefore, it's forbidden to sleep with them. So why is it forbidden to sleep with tefillin? For the sole reason that while the person is asleep, he's not in control over his digestive system, and there could be some accidental flatulence, which is disrespectful to the tefillin. ולא שנת ארעי, אלא אם הניח עליהן סודר ולא הייתה עמו אישה ישן בהם שנת ארעי. And also, just taking a short nap is forbidden unless the person takes care to cover the tefillin, like putting something, wrapping them with something while he's wearing them and taking this nap, and he's not sleeping with a woman, then he can have a short nap. כיצד הוא עושה? How should he sleep? מניח ראשו במרכב ויושב וישן. He should take this nap sitting down, putting his head behind his, in between his knees. ט"ז, היו תפיליו כרוכין בידו, מותר לישן בהן אפילו שנת קבע. If the tefillin were only on his arm, he didn't have the ones of the head, or alternatively, if he had stored the tefillin on his arm, and apparently this is what people used to do to transport the tefillin when you were not wearing them. So imagine you take the tefillin of Shel Rosh and you wrap those around your arm as a means of transportation. Then it's permissible to sleep even a full deep sleep. ואינו אוכל בהן אלא אכילת ארעי, and it's forbidden to eat wearing the tefillin unless it's a very transient, very light kind of eating. אבל אם נכנס לסעודת קבע, חולצן ומניחן לשולחנו עד שייטול ידיו. However, if a person is coming to a sit-down meal, he should remove them first, put them on the table until he washes his hands. ואחר כך יניחם, and after washing the hands for the סעודה, he places them back again. ויברך על מזונו והוא לבוש בהן, and it would be actually appropriate and desirable for the person to be wearing them when he's saying the berachot for the food. י"ז, היה לבוש תפילין והוסלח לבית הכיסא. What happens when a person is wearing tefillin, he needs to go to the bathroom. לא יניח תפיליו בחורין הסמוכין לרשות הרבים וייכנס, שמי תלום עוברי דרכים. He shouldn't leave them just lying there in the public area, in any hole that he finds, because someone might steal them. כיצד יעשה? What should he do rather? אפילו הוסלח להשתין מים, even if all he needs to do is urinate. חולס תפיליו בריחוק 4 אמות, ויגוללם בבגדו כמספר תורה. He should remove them before reaching 6 feet from the area in which he is going to relieve himself, and then he wraps them as you would wrap a Sefer Torah inside your clothes. So you use your own clothes as a wrapper for the tefillin. ואוחזם בימינו כנגד ליבו. Use your right arm to hold them wrapped in your clothes against your chest. ויזהר שלא תסר שבועה מתחת ידו טפח. One must watch out, be careful that the straps themselves don't come out from this makeshift covering, wrapping, more than 1 tefach worth, about 6 inches worth. I think it's 6 inches, but you can check yourself. It's a palm width. ונכנס ועושה תרחב, and then holding them that way goes to the bathroom and does what he needs to do. וכשיצא, and on the way out, מרחיק 4 אמות מבית הכיסא ולובשן. He first needs to go as far as 6 feet from the place in which he did what he did, and then he places the tefillin again. י"ח, במה דברים אמורים? בבית הכיסא הקבוע שניסוסות נוצות עליו. And where are we saying this? In an actual bathroom where there is a place, a urinal designed so that when a person urinates there, it doesn't, the urine doesn't fall everywhere. It's designed so it takes everything. אבל בית הכיסא ארעי, but any other place where people just urinate and there may be some drops of urine that go everywhere. לא ייכנס בהם כשהן גלולין, אלא חולצן ונותן לחברו לשומרן. Then this makeshift wrapping with your clothes is not enough, and someone else should watch the tefillin while the person is going inside. ואין מרגליים קלין, אפילו בבית הכיסא הקבוע, אלא בישיבה. And Aramam is saying one more thing, and the way of urinating should be, even in a fixed bet kiseh, in a fixed bathroom, should be sitting down, in sitting down position, so that again it doesn't sprinkle everywhere and ricochet everywhere. But if the surface on which the urine is falling was a soil that's moist, then this absorbs everything. אפילו בעמידה, then a person might even stand. היה מקום קשה, יעמוד במקום מדרון, כדי שלא ינתזו צינורות עליו. If a person was, if the surface was hard, a hard surface, then one must watch the angles and do it in an angle so that it doesn't ricochet back. הלכה י"ט, היה לבוש בתפילה והוסלח לבית הכיסא לערב ולא ינשאל מן היום כדי ללובשן אחר שיעשה. If a person was wearing tefillin and it was almost sunset and he needs to go to the bathroom and there is not enough time to then put them back, לא ייכנס בהם גלולים בבגדו ואפילו להשתים מים בבית הכיסא הקבוע. Then he shouldn't do this wrapping technique inside his own clothes because he's removing them now for the day anyways, even if it's to urinate and even if it's in a fixed bathroom. אלא כיצד יעשה, rather what should he do? חולצן ומניחן בכליין אם היה בו טפח, ובכלי שאינו כליין אף על פי שאין בו טפח, ואוחז הכלי בידו ונכנס. He has to remove them and put them inside their receptacle or container. If that container was as large as a tefach, which makes it a container in and of itself, or in a container that's not their container, because then it doesn't have kedusha, even if it doesn't have a tefach worth of an area, and then he holds his container in his hand and he enters and does what he needs to do. Also, the same if he needs to do so at night, the same thing applies. הלכה כ' שכח ונכנס לבית הכיסא והוא לבוש תפילין, מניח ידו עליהן עד שיגמור עמוד ראשון ויוסף וחולס. If a person forgot and went inside the bathroom wearing tefillin, then he should cover them while he's doing what he's doing until he finishes the first, let's call it the first stage of whether defecating or urinating, whatever he's doing, and then he removes them. ואחר כך נכנס ועושה כל צלחה, then he comes back and finishes what he had started. שמפסיק בעמוד ראשון, because if someone stops himself at the first stage of the excretion, בין בגדולים בין בקטנים, whether it's the number one or number two, to be colloquial, יבוא לידי חולאים שיש בהם סכנה גדולה. This, Rambam believed, is very dangerous, brings about very terrible sicknesses. כ"א, שכח ושימש מיטתו בתפילה, והרי זה לא יאחוז לא ברצועה ולא בקציצה עד שיטול ידיו ויתעלם, מפני שהידיים עסקניות. If a person forgot that he's wearing tefillin and he actually had intimate relations while wearing them, then he should not touch them until he first washes his hands, because the hands are عسكنيot, means that a person can never be fully in control of what the hands touch or where the hands are, which is why we constantly do netilat yadayim, to take into account the possibility that our hands might have touched something tameh. כ"ב, הנכנס למרחס מקום שבני אדם עומדים לבושים, מותר להניח תפילין. In the bathhouse, the area in which everyone is in the bathhouse but dressed, in other words, before the locker rooms, then it's permissible to put tefillin there. ומקום שבני אדם עומדים שם מקצתם ערומים ומקצתם לבושים, אינו חולס תפילה ואינו מניח שם תפילין תחילה. A place in which some people are naked, some people are dressed, then he doesn't have to take them off, but he shouldn't put them there deliberately to begin with. מקום שבני אדם עומדים שם ערומים, and a place in which everyone is naked, in other words, the bathhouse itself, the sauna, and so on, חולס תפילה, we should definitely remove his tefillin. בין צריך לומר שאינו מניח, and of course we don't even have to mention that he shouldn't to begin with place them inside there. כ"ג, לא יהלך אדם בבית הקברות ותפילין בראשו. A person may not walk in the בית קברות, is in the cemetery, while wearing tefillin on his head, ואפילו בתוך 4 אמות של המת או של הכבש צריך לחלוץ תפילה, even within 4 אמות, within 6 feet from a tombstone or a dead body, he must remove his tefillin עד שירחיק 4 אמות, until he's at least 6 feet away. ולא ילבש אדם תפילין עד שיכסה ערוותו וילבש בגדיו. Also, a person may not wear tefillin until he is sure that he's not naked. הנושא מסוי על ראשו, a person who is carrying something on his head, like people used to carry and still do in some third world countries, they used to carry things on their head. What happens? Can you carry something while wearing tefillin on you? No. You must remove the tefillin so you're not carrying both things at the same time. אפילו מטפחת אסור להניח על הראש שיש בו תפילין, אבל צונף ומסנפתו על תפיליו. It's even forbidden to put a mitpahat, I will translate colloquially to today, to wear a hoodie while having tefillin, but it's permissible to use a mitznefet, which is a more respectable kind of head covering, on top of the tefillin. כ"ד. בית שיש בו תפילין או ספר תורה, a house that contains within it a sefer Torah or a tefillin, אסור לשמש בו מיטתו, is forbidden to have intimate relations within that bait, and bait, by the way, is not house, it's a room, inside that room, עד שיוציאן, until he takes them from there, או יניחם בכלי, or if he places them in some kind of a container, could be a bag, ויניח הכלי בכלי אחר שאינו כליין, and that container then in turn is put inside another container that is not a container specifically set apart for the purpose of containing tefillin. אבל אם הכלי השני מזומן להן, אפילו היו 10 כלים ככלי אחד המחשבים. However, if the second container is also meant for them, like some people have a plastic wrapper around their koracha, that second one, because it's meant for the tefillin, it's as the first one. ואם הניחן כלי בתוך כלי, מותר לו להניחן תחת מרעשותיו בין קר לחסר שלו כנגד ראשו כדי לשומרן, ואפילו אשתו עמו במיטה. And if a person does this of putting them in a container that's within another container, then it's permissible to even keep them under one's own pillow to keep them safe, even if he's with his wife on the same bed. הלכה כ"ח. קדושת תפילין, קדושה גדולה היא, שכל זמן שתפילין על ראשו של אדם וזרועו הוא ענב וירא. The קדושה of תפילין, the distinction of תפילין, the sanctity and holiness is very great, because as long as a person has them on his head and on his arm, הוא ענב וירא, he gets automatically in the right mindset of humility and having awareness of God. ואינו נמשך בשחוק ובשיחה בטלה. It also keeps the person from engaging in silliness and in very banal kind of conversation. ואינו מהרהר במחשבות רעות. He also doesn't have bad, improper, inappropriate thoughts. אלא מפנה ליבו לדברי האמת והצדק. Rather, this directs the person to think, to focus on things that are true and correct. לפיכך, therefore, צריך אדם להשתדל להיותן עליו כל היום. A person must watch that they be on him all day long. This is desirable, that a person wears tefillin all day long. שמצוותן כך היא, because that's what they were meant to be. אמרו עליו על רב, תלמיד רבנו הקדוש. They said about Rav, who was the student of רבנו הקדוש. הרמב"ם felt the need to remind us here who Rav was, but this is also because that's what he says it in other places. שכל ימיו לא ראוהו שהלך 4 אמות בלא תורה ובלא ציצית ובלא תפילין. That in his life, in Rav's lifetime, people never saw him walking for a significant space, which is 6 feet or more, without speaking divrei Torah, or wearing a talet, or wearing a tefillin. כ"ו. אף על פי שמצוותן ללובשן כל היום, בשעת תפילה יתר מן הכל. Although it's a mitzvah to wear it all day, during the tefillah, during the Shemona Esrei, is the most important part. אמרו חכמים, said חכמים, כל הקורא קריאת שמע בלא תפילין, whoever reads קריאת שמע without wearing tefillin, the קריאת שמע being the part of the Torah from which we know we have to wear tefillin, כאילו מעיד עדות שקר בעצמו. It's as if he's rendering a false testimony, because he's saying you should wear tefillin and he's not wearing them. And the Kriyat Shema is the Adud. The Kriyat Shema is a testimony of sorts. וכל שאינו מניח תפילין עובר בשמונה עשה. And whoever does not put tefillin, he's not fulfilling, he's failing to fulfill 8 מצוות עשה, 8 affirmative precepts, שהרי ב4 פרשיות ציווה על תפילין של ראש ועל תפילין של יד, because we have 4 parashiot, 4 passages in which each of the mitzvot of Rosh and Yad are prescribed. Therefore, that makes it 8 times. V'chol haragil batefillin, and whoever is careful on wearing tefillin at all times, ma'arich yamim. The Torah says that that person is going to lengthen his days. Shne'emar, as the pasuk says, Adonai alehem yahyu. God being on them, they shall live. In other words, someone who has God on them in the form of wearing tefillin that contain the name of God is going to live, is going to have a long and lengthy life. Be'ezrat Hashem, may we be inspired to wear tefillin as much as we can, even if it's not the whole day. It's definitely appropriate to do so while learning Torah. A lot of people do it while praying Mincha, and so on and so forth. With this, we finish the 4th chapter, and Be'ezrat Hashem will do chapters 5 and 6 on Sunday. Shabbat Shalom and Hanukkah Sameach.